The Whispering Woods. I was never one to believe in superstitions or ghost stories, but everything changed that fateful day. It was autumn, and the air was crisp as I decided to take a solitary hike through the dense woods. The sun was beginning to set, casting eerie shadows that danced amongst the gnarled trees. Despite my nerves, I pushed forward, eager to explore the untouched wilderness. As I ventured deeper into the forest, an unsettling feeling crept over me. The silence was deafening, and the only sound I could hear was the crunch of leaves beneath my feet. The trees seemed to close in around me, suffocating me with their towering presence. The fading light made it difficult to see, and I could feel eyes watching me from the darkness. I stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin that stood in the heart of the woods. Its decaying walls bore the marks of time, and a chill ran down my spine as I approached. Ignoring the gnawing sense of dread, curiosity compelled me to peek inside. The cabin was empty, save for a few remnants of its past occupants. Among the debris, I discovered a weathered journal, its pages filled with eerie sketches and cryptic writings. As nightfall loomed, I reluctantly decided to make the cabin my shelter for the night. The journal's unsettling contents warned against staying in the woods after dark, but my logical mind dismissed it as mere fiction. I settled in for the night, the eerie stillness enveloping me. As the clock struck midnight, I awoke to a distant rustling sound. My heart pounded as the noise grew louder, and an inexplicable force urged me to investigate. I grabbed a flashlight and ventured outside the cabin, following the sound through the thick underbrush. Suddenly, the rustling ceased, and I found myself standing in a small clearing. I shone my flashlight around, but there was nothing to see. Just as I was about to turn back, a cold gust of wind whispered through the trees. It was not just any wind. It was a haunting, ethereal voice that seemed to call my name. The chilling sensation spread through my body, and I knew that I was not alone. I stumbled backward, desperate to return to the safety of the cabin. But the woods had other plans for me. The path I had taken now appeared foreign and impassable. Panic set in as I realized I was lost, trapped in the heart of the Whispering Woods. A haunting mist began to envelop the trees, making it impossible to discern one direction from another. The woods seemed alive, pulsating with an energy I couldn't comprehend. Desperation pushed me to forge a path forward, but every step only deepened my entrapment. As I wandered aimlessly, the woods seemed to play tricks on my mind. I caught glimpses of shadowy figures darting between the trees, and eerie laughter echoed in the distance. The whispering voices intensified, taunting me with secrets I couldn't decipher. My fear and paranoia grew, and I questioned my own sanity. Time lost all meaning in the twisted heart of the woods. The moonlight was obscured by the dense canopy, leaving me in perpetual darkness. Hunger gnawed at my stomach, and exhaustion weighed heavily on my bones. At the brink of despair, I stumbled upon an ancient stone circle hidden amongst the trees. The stones bore strange symbols, and an ominous aura surrounded the sacred ground. As I stepped inside the circle, a sudden silence enveloped the woods. The whispering voices ceased, and an eerie calm settled over me. But my relief was short-lived. The stone circle had trapped me in its grasp. No matter which direction I turned, I found myself back at the center. Panic returned as I realized I was trapped within a malevolent force I couldn't comprehend. Days blurred into nights as I languished in the stone circle, my mind tortured by the relentless isolation and haunting whispers that never ceased. Sleep offered no respite, for my dreams were plagued with horrifying visions of the wood's dark secrets. In my moments of lucidity, I returned to the journal I had found in the cabin. The cryptic writings seemed to take on new meaning as I compared them to my current reality. It spoke of a malevolent presence that fed on the fear of lost souls, forever trapping them within the woods. With a newfound determination, I delved deeper into the journal's pages. It hinted at a way to escape the woods, a ritual that could break the curse. It required a sacrifice, a relinquishing of something deeply personal. Gathering my courage, I decided to perform the ritual, desperate to escape the torment. I followed the instructions, chanting the incantation as the moon hung heavy in the night sky. The woods seemed to react to my actions, the whispers growing in intensity. In a moment of clarity, I realized the truth. The woods were alive, a sentient entity that fed on fear and despair. The more terrified I became, the stronger it grew, keeping me ensnared in its web. As the ritual concluded, the wood's malevolence intensified, threatening to consume me entirely. But in that same moment, I understood what I needed to sacrifice: my fear. I embraced the terror that had consumed me, facing it head-on. In an instant, the woods fell silent, and the mist dissipated. The stone circle released its grip, and I found myself standing at the edge of the forest, free at last. The woods seemed to sigh in defeat, no longer able to hold me captive. The journey back to civilization was arduous, but I emerged from the woods forever changed. I had stared into the abyss of fear and found strength within myself. The whispers of the woods would forever linger in my mind, a reminder of the malevolence. The memory of my harrowing experience in the whispering woods haunted me for months. I couldn't shake the feeling that the malevolent force was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for another unsuspecting victim to stumble into its clutches. As the days grew shorter and winter set in, I found myself retreating from the outside world, seeking solace in the warmth and safety of my home. But no matter how hard I tried to forget, the chilling whispers echoed in the corners of my mind, refusing to release their hold on me. One night, as I lay in bed, wrapped in a cocoon of blankets, a soft tapping sound roused me from my uneasy sleep. The noise seemed to come from outside my bedroom window, and dread clutched at my heart. Slowly I approached the window, hesitating to look outside. I feared what I might see, whether it was real or a manifestation of my tormented imagination. Summoning my courage, I drew back the curtains. To my relief, there was nothing but darkness and the distant glow of a street lamp. Just as I was about to turn away, a figure appeared in the corner of my eye, a shadowy silhouette standing amidst the trees at the edge of the woods. My breath caught in my throat, and a shiver ran down my spine. The figure seemed familiar, as if I had seen it before in those haunted woods. It stood there, motionless, and though I couldn't make out any features, I felt an unsettling familiarity with its presence. As the days passed, I noticed the figure standing at the same spot every night, always watching, always waiting. Fear consumed me once more, and I knew I had to confront whatever this apparition was to find peace. Armed with a determination born from my previous ordeal, I decided to face my fears head-on. The next night, I waited by the window, refusing to succumb to the terror that threatened to overwhelm me. When the figure finally emerged from the darkness, I mustered my courage and stepped outside to meet it. As I approached, the figure became clearer, and my heart pounded in my chest. It was a woman, her face obscured by shadows, her form translucent as if she were a ghost. Recognition dawned upon me. She was one of the lost souls from the woods, trapped by the malevolent force just like I had been. The woman held out her hand, and her lips moved, whispering words I couldn't hear. But the message was clear. She needed help. She was trapped, unable to move on to whatever awaited souls after death. I realized that my ordeal in the Whispering Woods had given me a unique connection to the spirits, allowing me to see and hear them even beyond the haunted forest. Determined to help this tormented soul find peace, I followed her lead and walked toward the edge of the woods. The whispers intensified, a cacophony of voices echoing through the night. I could feel the malevolence of the woods once more, attempting to draw me back into its clutches, but I pressed on, guided by the spirit, until we reached the same ancient stone circle where I had performed the ritual to escape the woods. The woman pointed to the center, her eyes pleading for me to do something. Drawing upon the knowledge from the journal, I realized what needed to be done. I had to perform the same ritual, but this time, it wasn't my own fear that needed to be sacrificed. It was the fear that bound the woman to the woods. With trembling hands, I began the ritual, focusing on the memory of my escape and the strength I had found within myself. As I chanted the incantation, The whispers grew in intensity, a last attempt by the malevolent force to thwart my efforts. But I wouldn't be deterred. I channeled all the courage I could muster, imbuing the ritual with a profound sense of hope and determination. The words echoed through the woods, reaching beyond the veil that separated the living from the dead. And then, in a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, the whispers ceased. The woods fell silent, and a serene stillness washed over the stone circle. I looked into the woman's eyes, and for the first time, I saw gratitude and peace. The spirit of the lost woman began to dissipate, the ethereal form fading away. I knew she was finally free, released from the grasp of the malevolent force that had held her captive for so long. As the first light of dawn painted the sky, I returned to my home, feeling a weight lifted from my shoulders. The malevolent force of the whispering woods had been weakened, its grip on the spirits loosened. I had helped one soul find peace, and it gave me hope that I could aid others. From that day on, I devoted myself to assisting lost souls, using my connection to the supernatural to guide them to the light. I became a bridge between the living and the dead, a beacon of hope for those trapped in the darkness. The whispering woods would forever remain a haunting memory, but I had found a purpose in that terror. My experiences had opened my eyes to the existence of a world beyond our comprehension, a world of spirits and malevolent forces that lurk just beyond the veil of our reality. And so, with each passing night, I continue my vigil by the window, waiting for the next lost soul to appear. I embrace the whispers and the fear, knowing that it is my strength and compassion that will ultimately guide them to the peace they seek. The whispering woods may have taken something from me, but it also gave me a gift of understanding and empathy for the spirits that linger in the shadows. And as I walk the line between the living and the dead, I am reminded that there are forces beyond our comprehension, and it is up to us to face them with courage and compassion, no matter how terrifying they may be.